I wish I could talk normally about this game, but I am still drunk off of football. I am in awe. I am in shock at what I just watched. I've been cheesing from ear to ear. As soon as the game started, I got sad only when the ref blew the whistle at halftime because I had to stop watching, and then at the full 90 minutes because we have watched the one of the best games that has ever been played in the history of the Champions League. We have just witnessed one of the best games. I don't think y'all get deep. We have just witnessed one of the best games in Champions League history in a semifinal between two sides that were in flow state, in a state of grace. The two of the top teams in the whole wide world. Attacking minded, Cruyff based, all out attack, spectacle, liquid football, dominance by both sides, dynamics. This game had everything. Oh my goodness, for the love of God. This game honored the sport. The sport exists because of games like this. Games like this are what made footy what it is today. The philosophies on display on both sides is what football is all about. This is how the game was meant to be played. This is how this sport continues to live. Not with all those low block nonsense. And I made a short video on this on TikTok and Reels. For the love of God, shame on you if you have ever enabled a club, a big club that spends billions and billions summer after summer on players just to sit in low blocks and play pathetic football, hanging all 11 players hanging from the crossbar. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. When you spend so much money, when you invest in coaches and players, you better play good football. This is what I was on display today. I watch football to be entertained. This is a sport to watch, and people. We were in the era of the winger not taking on their man. We were in the era of speculation. We were in the era of sitting in the low block. No, real men. This is what the game is about. Go and bully the opponent, score more goals than them, and outscore them. This is what it's about. High press, high line, outscoring the opponent, mentality to come up from a big deficit. This game right here had everything. It was a spectacle. And, bro, are you not entertained? This is what football is all about. Is what made me fall in love with the game. This game right here, Bayern Munich and PSG, you just have to clap. You just have to put your hands up and praise, surrender to the entertainment. I surrender to the entertainment. This is peak football, guys. I am going to remember this game for the rest of my life. I'm being so serious. I'll remember what I was doing, where I was, and how I was standing, how I was feeling, everything. Everything. This was ridiculous, y'all. How this is the way that the sport was meant to be consumed. What we saw today on display was the upper echelon of the attacking levels, defensive levels. Yes, defensive levels. I'll get into that here in a bit. From all sides. My goodness, this is freakish. This was sensational. I am at a loss for words. How can I continue elaborating what I felt about this game if I'm still in shock and in awe? I'll attempt to do so in this video. Going in, let's go for the line. I'm sorry, but I have to pull out notes for this game. There's just so much that happened. Y'all gonna have to bear with me. Lineups, both sides. I think PSG went with their expected lineup. You had Safonov in net. You had Nuno Mendes, Pacho, Marquinhos, Hakimi on the right. The midfield, Zaire Emery, Vitinha, João Neves. Up top, Varaskelia, Maradona. Round of applause, Maradona. Dembele up top, Doué off the right. Bayern Munich, no surprises except for one. Alphonso Davies starting over Leimer. Leimer benched for this game, surprisingly. In net, Manuel Neuer. Off the left, Alphonso Davies, who at halftime was subbed off after receiving a yellow card. But Alfonso Davies off the left, Upamecano and Jonathan Tah. Off the right, Stanisic, the double pivot, Pavlovic and Kimmich. At the 10, Musiala. Given, as a reminder, Gnabry got injured in the previous round, and he will not be playing in the semifinals. Off the right, Michael Olise. Harry Kane up top, and Luis Diaz. I'm getting excited just talking to y'all about the lineup, guys. Oh, this game had everything. This game had everything. Bayern Munich start on the front foot. Absolutely rinse PSG to start the game off. Absolutely rinse PSG to start the game off. Bayern Munich, free-flowing football, passing, finding link-up plays, and they find themselves with a penalty. After Luis Diaz draws a contact, in my opinion, it wasn't a penalty. Luis Diaz goes and draws for the contact. I think he even cleats. It was at Nuno Mendes or Pacho. He cleats him first. I don't think that personally should have been a pen. But in the midst of it, it was a well-earned 1-0 by the hand of Harry Kane. Harry Kane takes a penalty, makes it 1-0 for Bayern Munich. And Bayern were on the front foot. Bayern looked like the better side. Bayern were attacking and having a wonderful display of their attack. But what do we all know about this PSG team? They can threaten you with very little. You give them half the space to breathe, and they will punish you. And they do just that. Vita Kvaratskhelia. What a beauty of a goal. Low, driven, impossible for Neuer to reach. Makes it 1-1. And the game is still off to the races. Now you're feeling the temperature of the game heating up. Bayern Munich hit first immediately. Not even 10 minutes later. Kvaratskhelia is hitting back at them. And then, what do we find ourselves with? Joao Neves, of all people, off of a corner kick, while Bayern Munich continue to dominate the game, to continue to play well. Joao Neves finds himself with a header. Musiala is the one that's marking him. I'm sorry, Musiala, bully him. What are you doing? What are you doing? Joao Neves, sharp there. Quickly pounces on Musiala's laziness and nonchalantness, wins the header, perfectly changes it direction, makes it impossible to reach for Manuel Neuer, and PSG are up 2-1. And probably, in my opinion, undeservedly so, because Bayern Munich, up until that point in time, had been the much better side, in my opinion. They had played so good, but PSG proven themselves to be absolutely threatening. They have such attacking powers, and there's the pure wit of Joao Neves there to see Musiala standing on his back heels, out making a little maneuver there, shimmies, wins the header, makes it 2-1. But the man of the hour who hadn't showed up just yet, but you knew it was only a matter of time for him until he showed up. Michael Olise finds himself down the middle, takes a touch, dribbles past a couple of guys, finds himself no one pressuring him. The ball somehow takes a bounce, and he rips it with enough power, taking it off the bounce, slots it into the back of the net. It's 2-2 by the 41st minute, and you're thinking it's all set in stone. We're heading 2-2 into halftime. But we find ourselves just before halftime, a handball. In my opinion, this part here, I don't understand. In my opinion, that's not a handball. Why? Because the ball, I was to the understanding that if the ball hits another part of your body and it hits your handball, while your arm is in a natural position, then that's not a handball. Davies is sitting there. The ball bounces off of his leg and then bounces into his arm in a natural position. Not like he had them wide up here. He had them down here. Either way, for some odd reason, the referees concede the penalty and award the penalty to PSG. And who else? Ballon d'Or, Dembele makes it 3-2 just before the halftime. We're all raving. I was speechless. I was at a loss for words. 3-2. We're in for a spectacle. Bayern Munich are on the front foot. PSG are stomping right on their necks. And we're heading into halftime. We come back. More. What happens now? PSG take the game by the scruff of the neck. Bow. Give me that. Bullied by. All of a sudden, we find ourselves with PSG taking the game. Oh, also, mind you, a couple other things to comment on the first half. Bruh, when Bayern Munich were dominating the game, we find ourselves with the Dembele 1v1. That's probably the first bozo moment for Dembele I have seen in a minute, where he's through on goal and you think, oh, this is now for PSG. Hits the most horrendous ball I've ever seen. I thought he was about to slide into the back of the net with a low-driven curler. He hits it so bad it angles out wide. Just wanted to comment on that. Anyways, second half, like I said, PSG are on the front foot. PSG take the game by the scruff of the neck. They're dangerous. Due, Kvaratskhelia, and Dembele interchanging. And what do we find ourselves with quickly? In the 56th minute, we find ourselves with Kvaratskhelia. Hakimi's attacks the flanks off the right, off of a transition. Hakimi crosses the ball. I think it's Zaire Emery and Dembele both do some sort of dummy after Upamecano, is it, that tackles? And who would you know it? Kvaratskhelia on the other side, completely open, slots it near post, makes it, what was that? That was the 4, makes it 4-2. Makes it 4-2 for PSG. And you're just thinking to yourself, blah, there's just no way. Like, all of a sudden it's close, and then you see PSG for all of a sudden find themselves 4-2 in a game that you thought, or not thought, but in reality Bayern Munich were dominating. And now they find themselves down 4-2. Is it time to, do they sit back, or do they keep trying to attack and go for the game? And just when you're still pondering that yourself, what do we find ourselves with? A Dembele goal. Dembele gets the ball and scores and makes it 5-2 for PSG. 5-2. How is it possible that at a game this good, all of a sudden was so close to turning into a beatdown? And you start thinking to yourself, I remember telling my friend that I was watching the game with, at this point, what do you do? Like, do you just try to like make amends and just don't try not to let the score accumulate too much? How do you handle this? But hell no. Bayern Munich, and I want to comment on this, the ferocity and tenacity and the balls on the entire Bayern Munich squad to come out from a 5-2 deficit and still have the guts to attack this in this game and not change a bit. Still go for goal. Still go for more goals. Still be on the front foot. Still try to attack. At away. They're not at home. They are away. And they go ahead, bravely do so. Any other team in the world would have tried to close shop. Hell no. We're talking about one of the best teams in the world. Bayern Munich stay, and they find themselves with a free kick. It's like a lob cross. Yeah, they gave it to Upamecano. Kimmich sends a cross. Upamecano gets the slightest of touches on it, and it's 5-3. And you're thinking to yourself, hold on, there's still a game here. There is still a game here. And not even 3 minutes later, who do we have? Luis Diaz. Bruh, oh my goodness. Before, incredibly deep. Harry Kane, the multifaceted, all-terrain. He's not a striker. Calling him a center forward is a disgrace to the footballer that Harry Kane is. Harry Kane is a footballer. He's a goal scorer. He's a deep line playmaker. He is, bruh, this guy right here. It is a shame that he wasted his career at Tottenham. We needed to be seeing this guy in a team like this all throughout his career. I'm sorry, but it's just the truth. Harry Kane delivers a superb ball to Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz receives the ball off of the turn, turns around, puts Marquinhos in a blender, fakes one way, fakes the other, scores, and I am in unbelief. It's 5-4. How has this happened? I cannot believe this. And the sideline referee raises her hand and saying it's offsides, and I am praying, fingers crossed. No, this game deserves 5-4. This game deserves to have that ninth goal, and it gets allowed. It's 5-4. Luis Diaz was onside. From then, all right, the craziness is over, and I feel like the negotiations start. PSG start feeling okay with the 5-4. Bayern Munich have all the momentum. They have just scored 2 in a row and find themselves only 1 goal down, and they know that they have a game at the Allianz Arena to come back to. And for them, finding themselves 5-2, I think they both saw the 5-4 and they started to think, okay, hold on, let's take a breather. We could. This is enough. And then the game is out through and it ends 5-4. But what a damn spectacle that we have seen. PSG, they find themselves. But I think Luis Enrique mentioned it best. He said, "We deserve to win, we deserve to lose, and we deserve to tie. We deserve everything." Luis Enrique, what a damn coach. What a coach. Because even when they were being completely battered initially by Bayern Munich, they're still so dangerous off of transitions, not counters. Do not be mistaken. Off of transitions, they're so dangerous. And they still manage to score goals and to perform while their game isn't the best. And when their game is at the best, they find themselves going up 5-2. Bayern Munich. Wow. To submit a PSG team like this one here, those first couple of minutes, maybe up to until what was it? I'd say until around the 23rd, the 33rd, the first 30 minutes. Wow. The level that this team has is absolutely incredible, guys. It's ridiculous. From the PSG perspective, you have absolute monsters of athletes combined with technical ability. You have athletes and technical ability. Every single one of these players on this pitch today are absolute physical monsters, and you add technicality to that. You add free-flowing fluidity. You add a system that drives you crazy because no one stays in one spot because they're also interchangeable. You add it's like this complete synergy among them where each one, Nuno Mendes can come inside, so can Hakimi, and Nuno Mendes finds himself on the attack as well as Hakimi. You have a Dembele who's a freak off the counter, always a threat in behind. Vicha Varaskelia, who's going to go at you. And if you give him space, he's going to shoot the ball and slot it into the back of the net. 2 goals for him. Spectacular day for him. You have a Joao Neves, who you look at him, he's short, he's tiny, but he's aggressive. He's more astute than the rest. He beats a Musiala who's sleeping off of his guard. You may be a foot taller than me, but I'm going to still win a header over you. Wow. I'm in love with what I saw today from PSG. That was awesome. But mind you, that team disgusts me because of the way they operate, their ownership model, and the way they've just dumped money. But if you're going to do all this, at least put on a spectacle, and boy, did they do so. Spectacular game on their end. Bayern Munich, though, like I said, the incredible merit that it is to subdue this PSG team for a while was amazing. Michael Olise, in that first half, I'll get into this later, but Michael Olise taking his goal incredibly well. And the guts in Bayern Munich, any team in the world, damn near any team in the world, if they find themselves rinsed 5-2 in a match, you would think, oh, this is long gone. This is over. You got to do damage control. Hell no. They stayed on the attack. How? Bro, where do you find that tenacity, that mentality, and that ferociousness deep inside of you for in a single particular game, still be on the front foot and still find the guts to deploy your game and minimize this to a 5-4 game after you were down 5-2? It's ridiculous. It's remarkable. I am in awe. I admire Bayern Munich's fight today to claw themselves back into this, because that 5-2 was damn near a death sentence, but they clawed their way back into this tie. The only benefit, look, this game should have been the final, in all honesty, because those 2 bozos that are going to play tomorrow, allow that. That's just disgusting. But to think that we get to see this all over again next week. Thank you for allowing this to be the semifinal, because we get to see this twice. This is the championship right here. Whoever wins this game is the champion in all of our hearts. Enough. I don't even care, bro. I don't even care for whatever reason they get lucky and somehow, bro. No. This right here is what it's all about. I admire the ability for Bayern to, in a single game, shake that off. The robotic nature in that German will to win overcomes in a single game and claw themselves back into this tie. Bruh, man, what was on display today? Greatness. And I am glad that as a collective we're coming together and shaming Haram ball, shaming low blocks, shaming cowardly play. Because let me tell you guys something. Real Madrid faces Bayern Munich team with a defensive approach, and they got incredibly lucky by that not Neuer giving the ball away foolishly, and that the foul not getting that where Brahim Diaz was breathed on by an ant where he goes down and Mike Neuer decides to just shuffle over instead of diving for the ball. But with this style of play, you are bound to get goals. You're bound to get scored on. But it's a matter of my defensive approach is a high line. My defensive approach is to try to beat you on duels because this approach enables me to outscore you. This approach enables me to play better than you. This approach allows me to put on a spectacle. And this is the shorter path to victory than all that other nonsense that we show. And whenever you accumulate talent to the level of Michael Olise, Harry Kane, Luis Diaz, Vicha Varaskelia, Dembele, Vitinha, Kimmich, Pavlovic, Zaire Emery, Nuno Mendes, Pacho, Upamecano, Stanisic, Limer, you are meant to be on the front foot and allow the talent to be put on display. And that is not done so by sitting in a low block in a park bus. No, it's done by enabling your players, enabling your talent, getting it out. You know why Michael Olise was able to rinse Nuno Mendes today? Because I saw a perfect quote today by one of my favorite analysts. I mention him all the time, Albert Blaya. He said, this was like an NBA game. Whenever you're 1v1, it's not whenever you defend 1v1, it's not that no defense is being played. It's that when the talent activates, the talent overcomes the defense. And this is what happened today. You left Olise with a 1v1 situation with time and space against Nuno Mendes. Obviously, he's going to overcome him. I saw some idiot on Twitter trying to hop on here and say, what Mendy did against Olise is remarkable. No, it's because he had 2 to 3 other guys covering him because you were sitting in a low block. And guess what? Real Madrid and Bayern Munich was still a to and fro. Why? Because whenever you still have some bit of individual brilliance, you're going to expose yourself and you're going to open yourself up to this to and fro and you're going to get scored on. And last year, we saw that between Barcelona and Inter Milan, that even though Inter Milan are an incredibly defensive team and sit in a low block, they're still going to get scored on. They're still going to get rinsed. Either way, this PSG side did not sit in a low block. And if in either situations, you're going to find yourself getting scored on from a to and fro, might as well let your talent be expressed on the pitch because this is what the sport is about. The sport goes about beating the opponent, bullying the opponent, and putting into practice offensive duties, especially when you're spending $1 billion every transfer window or have spent that much. If you're spending that much money, you better show me a good product on the pitch, and this is perfection. This is perfection right here. This is everything that Cruyff embodies. This is what Cruyff meant by saying, I'd rather win 5-4 than win 1-0. This is what it's all about, guys. This right here is perfection at its highest order of two teams in perfect state of grace. This was remarkable, you guys. This was remarkable. Ah, man. And that's the thing. You saw the talent on display today. This was spectacle. It was 1v1. It was Nuno Mendes against Olise. It was Hakimi and Luis Diaz duking it out. It was Harry Kane dropping deep and hiding and being able to play long balls, but also being a threat in front of goal. This Luis Diaz drawing the foul, the way he takes his chance, the way he presses, the high press on both sides, seeing both of them be incredibly effective, not being able to play out the back. The midfielders were caretakers to enable the attack on both sides. They received the ball in order to get it quickly until the attack. Bruh, this right here is spectacular. This is spectacular right here, guys. Because, you guys can sit here like Real Madrid. You guys can sit here and be like Arsenal. And you could think, well, it's what, no defense was played today? How is this showing good quality of defense? There is no defense played today. PSG played poorly. They just received 4 goals. Bayern let 5 goals be scored on them. Bruh, Arsenal and Real Madrid treaded a fine line this year, are treading a fine line, where it's either you win silverware or you're project is an embarrassment and it's pathetic and it's lousy and you have nothing to show for it or be proud of. Real Madrid trophyless, another season, pathetic. They tried to put all their marbles into that Bayern Munich side, and guess what? They should have gotten rinsed. Somehow they find themselves with individual erratic moments that enabled them to be in the tie. And now that they're eliminated, it's the guarantee failure of a season. Arsenal, another team that loves to sit in a low block despite being a big club. If they do not win the Champions League, if they do not win the Premier League, they are stuck with a worthless season. Denominated bottlers. How on earth do you dare tread on that line of either I win silverware, if not, I'm pathetic, it's an embarrassment, and my fans are disgruntled, and you're getting booed? No, because what Bayern and PSG, each of them respectively, have a project and a product that they can walk away proud from because they have been playing a play style that is a foundation for their successes to come, both in the Champions League and in the UCL. 100%. That's what it is. Because there's substance, there's foundation, there's grounding to it. Something that can materialize an enablement of talent. That's why this is the way to play. That's why this is what big clubs have to play as. Because you cannot tread on this line that, oh, if I don't win, I have nothing to show for it. No, you have to establish a foundation to enable greatness that is sustained throughout time. Luis Enrique with the open checkbook, this is what you get. Bayern Munich in a state of excellence, this is what you get. This is what I strive to emulate for my team, for Barcelona. This is why we need to equip Flick with the right profiles and the right players so that we can continue to master this. And whenever we do have the proper personnel, and we are luckier with injuries, we can be a part of this as well. But this is the shortest path to victory. Allow all them people that are enablers for playing low blocks. Y'all are pathetic. Oh, who loves to sit down and watch Arsenal games, bruh? Week in and week out. Nobody, dog. Nobody. The sport would die if you had to watch a bunch of big clubs sit in a low block. This right here is what allows the sport to survive. This is what makes soccer the best sport in the whole wide world. I'm going to leave it at that because I could ramble on for long and long, and I don't know what minute mark I'm on, but let me know your impressions of the game in the comments. Drop a like and subscribe. Thank you. Thank you to PSG and Bayern Munich.